let's say we run for 1,000 sample, we need to change a detector, right? So the maintenance is quite expensive. So for the column, usually for one column is around 1,000 USD. So depending on which type of column that you are purchased, all right, depending on your target compound. But generally, these are all the component inside the HPLC, right? Okay, I'm going to show you a simple video what happened inside the HPLC when we inject the sample. You actually have to understand the workflow. The workflow meaning to say, you have to understand when you inject a sample into the system, what will happen. You don't think that, okay, I just inject and then the machine will do the job. But the thing is, how do you know the machine give you a good result or not a good result, or whether your result is reliable or not, or valid or not? So you have to understand the workflow inside the HPLC, then only you can confirm that the result is correct or there is nothing you need to change or all these things, right? So I will go through with you the video. It's very simple. Okay. So this video is very useful. I share with my student as well. So this is the setting of the HPLC. You will have the mobile phase, usually is a liquid, and then you will have a pump to pump the mobile phase into the system. Okay. So inside here, you will have a column, and then you will have the oven. So just now I mentioned that you can run HPLC at room temperature, but if you want a better separation of your compound, you can slightly increase the temperature of the oven. Usually, I will set around 30 for better separation. As compared to room temperature, if you increase a little bit the temperature, right, the separation is better, right? Okay, so you have column and also the oven. Then you will have the sample. The sample will put in the auto sample. Sorry. Yes. The sample will be insert into the auto sample. So in the normal setting, okay, it's automatically inject from a sample. So you can see a needle here. This is the needle. So the needle will take the sample, okay, and inject into the system, right? So this is how the HPLC works. But I'm gonna share a little bit about this sample. So the sample that you use, right? Okay, so this is a sample. You put your sample into a wire. A wire, I don't know, you still remember during COVID, you take the vaccine, right? So the person take a wire with the vaccine and then they take out the vaccine inside the wire. So that wire is very sensitive. You have to make sure you buy the correct wire. So this wire normally is a transparent, but if your sample is sensitive to light, you should buy the wire with the amber bottle, meaning to say it will prevent the light. Okay, the amber bottle wire. And on top of the wire, there is a red color. So this red color is a film. It's a film for your HPLC to inject and take out the sample. So it's very important for you to buy the correct film of the wire, because what happened is that my student last time, when she ran the HPLC, all the result is wrong because the film, okay, you can see the needle is punched, right? So the needle punch the film and then take out the sample, but the film actually is wrong, where the needle actually did not pass through the film. So she made a mess with the master project. So this is why I need to emphasize to you, you have to make sure the film is correct and the film will not interact with your sample. Because if let's say the film is contaminated, it will affect your result as well. Okay. So now back to here. After it inject into your system, okay, now you can see it's already inject. Then your sample will go through the oven and the column and go through the detector. All right. So this is this video is oh my God. So this video is very good as it shows you what happened inside the system. So this is the injector. This is the pump. Just now I mentioned the pump taking the mobile phase, the injector, and then your sample will go through, okay, will go through the column. But before go to the column, this pump, right, this pump here will take the mobile phase. After take the mobile phase, inside the pump there is a degasser. What is degasser? Degasser is something that will break the gas in your solvent. Okay, like for example, you have a glass of water, you drink the water, right? But actually in the water, there are many bubbles. This bubble you cannot see, but actually in the water there is bubble that you cannot see, but this bubble will affect your system, will affect your result. So in the HPLC, usually we have the degasser. So this degasser will break the bubble. It will like vibrate to break the bubble. So this bubble will broken. After that, this mobile phase will be indirect, okay, with your sample. So this degasser, so this is the vacuum pump. It will take the mobile phase. So the mobile phase will go here. So this is a mixing chamber. So this mixing chamber will mix your mobile phase together, all right, and then introduce it to the sample. So when we talk about mobile phase, you need to know there are two types of mobile phase method. One is isocratic. Isocratic meaning to say you only mix a certain ratio. So let's say in this case, A, you take 70%, B, you take 30%. So this is a fixed one. Something that is fixed is isocratic. But if let's say gradient meaning to say you will change the ratio. So you will change 50, 60, 70 according to the time, all right? So after that, you will have the injector where you inject your sample, right? So this sample will interact with the mobile phase. You see the pump carry the mobile phase. Your sample is here, okay? Go through the loop and go inside, right? To the waste, right? But inside here, they will mix together. So you can see that this go to your column. This black color, the blue black color will go to your column. So this is where your sample is mixing with the mobile phase from the pump, right? So this sample will go to the column. So now the column is play a very important role. So it depends on the principle you are using, absorptions or affinity, or just now I mentioned partition, depends on what method you use, all right? So for this example, okay, for this case, the stationary phase, okay, the orange color is this compound, the green color is this compound. So the green color has a higher affinity to the mobile phase, so it moves faster. The orange color has a higher affinity to the stationary phase, so that's why it moves slower. So this is a very good example how your sample is being separated in the mobile phase, all right? Okay, another options you need to know is that just now I told you reverse phase and also normal phase, all right? So in the reverse phase, your mobile phase is polar, okay? Your stationary phase is non-polar, right? So in this case, when you introduce your sample, so this is to show you the stationary phase is non-polar, which is C18. So when you introduce your mobile phase that is polar, and then your sample consists of different compound, will start to separate. So you can see that if let's say your sample, the green color is more polar, it will go first, okay? Because your mobile phase is polar. So if let's say your sample is non-polar, all right, it will stay in the stationary phase, it will move a bit slower. So this is how you separate the polar and non-polar compound, right? Of course, just now it also shows a normal phase. So normal phase, the mobile phase is non-polar, and the stationary phase is polar. So when the stationary phase is polar, you can choose like silica, okay, silica. So you introduce your mobile phase as usual. So the compound will be separated according to the polarity. So you can see that when the orange color is non-polar, right, it will go together with the mobile phase. The green color, which is polar, will stay a bit longer with the stationary phase. So this is how the separation occur, all right? So this is very important for you to understand what is a compound, what is a mobile phase, what is stationary phase. So after that, your sample will be go to the detector. So there are many different type of detector. You can use UV, you can use fluorescent. So in this case, this is the UV detector. So just like I mentioned to you, every time when we run the HPLC, right? After 1,000 sample injection, so they will go through, then you need to change the lamp, right? So this is D2 lamp and W lamp. So normally we just change the D2 lamp. So what happens is that this lamp will have a specific light that can be detected by a specific wavelength, right? So when you have the sample, it will change the prisma here, okay? So if let's say your sample is green color, it will block. Okay, I replay this part. So you can see, you can adjust to the wavelength you want. Let's say now you want the wavelength is green color wavelength, right? So when the sample is introduced to the column, this sample will affect the light, the green color light, and then it will create a signal. Okay, it will create a signal to your detector. So you can look through the detector here. When the sample is introduced, and then the detector will detect something. Then your sample will be go to the base. All right, so this is how actually the signal sent to your detector. After that, your detector will generate a chromatogram into your software. So that's why you will have a chromatogram with different retention time. With different retention time. So this is your compound. This is your compound. Okay, that come out first, second, and third. So you know the polarity. All right. So you can adjust accordingly. So you know if let's say your mobile phase is polar, then you know that the green color is polar. If let's say your mobile phase is non-polar, then you know that the green color is non-polar. So this is how you can play around with the mobile phase, right? Okay, so I hope you understand about the instrumentation and also the workflow, right? So I have just a little bit more to share about the challenges when you want to run the HPLC. Okay, when we want to run the HPLC, a lot of my students will face the problem is their sample, because the sample usually is a mixture of many things. So it's very complicated. You might have the fat, you will have the sugar, you will have the protein and things that block the things. So what happened was you actually need to prepare your sample, you need to separate the sample or extract your sample accordingly. All right, there are a few methods you can use to prepare your sample, right? Because we want to remove all the things that we don't want, and then we want only the target compound, right? So what you can do is that first you need to make sure your sample is homogenized. So you need to grind it, you need to blend it to make sure all the sample is uniform. Then you can use an extraction method. You can use a solvent to extract a specific compound like methanol or ethanol. You can use it to extract oil or fatty acid. So this is the normal common solvent used to extract certain compound. You can also do filtration. Filtration is that you use a filter to remove the solid. So in the HPLC setting, usually we will use different membrane filter to filter out the solid particle that you don't want, right? Then you only target certain compound, right? There are different type of membrane filter. We have cellulose, we have the NH2, so we have PTFE. So these are all different membrane, right? We also want to remove the solid because we need to protect the system, right? And then you also can concentrate your sample. So you can do the evaporation to increase the concentration of your sample, and then it's easy to detect. And you also can do derivatization. This derivatization is a bit complicated because you need to modify the structure of your target compound to improve the stability. One of the example is salicylic acid. So salicylic acid is something that is not stable, okay? So what you can do is that you can add a chemical to make it stable, then only you use the chromatography method. So you need to modify the structure first, right? This can be another method. And last but not least, you need to clean out your sample. So for example, you can use SPE, solid phase extraction, or quenches method, or liquid phase extraction to remove all the fat or pigment. So these are a few things you need to think before you start your chromatography method. So this is very important because I have many students face a problem when they want to run HPLC. So you can use this few method to clean out the sample before injection. All right. Okay. Talk about future trend. This will be very important. Many company are now looking for a specialist that can work to make the analysis become very simple and very feasible. So we all know that when we want to run chromatography, it's very tedious, it requires a long time, and you need to use different solvent, you need to use acid, so it's very unsustainable. So nowadays they look into different type of machine, like for example the HPLC that is portable, meaning to say you just carry it in the bag and then you can bring anywhere. Or another method is that is using a UV light to detect the sample, this kind of thing. All right. Another one is green chromatography. Why they say green chromatography? Because normally when we run HPLC, we use a lot of solvent, we use a lot of energy, we use a lot of electricity. So we also generate waste. So they are trying to use a different type of solvent or different type of method to save the consumption of the solvent, to save the energy and reduce the waste. All right. This can be something that you can explore. Another one is hyphenated technique, meaning to say you can combine different type of chromatographies in one system. For example, you can combine absorption with affinity into one system. So this is something that you can explore as well. And last is the AI integration. So a lot of things now is related to AI, related to ChatGPT, Gemini, all these things. So the company is also working toward that direction where they're trying to incorporate software analysis in the system. Okay. So this is something that you can think about for your career. Let's say you want to work in a relevant field. So these are the things that you can explore. All right. So overall, for this topic, I share about the introduction, the importance, application in the food setting. I also talk about 5 different principles. I also share about the HPLC, GC, and TLC. So I also share with you the video about the workflow and also the component. Lastly, I also mentioned to you sample preparation is very important before you start and the future direction. So in summary, I will say that in my opinion, of course, chromatography is a very useful method but there are many different principles. So just now I talked about partition, absorption. So there are many different principles. So you need to understand the principle. You need to know your target compound so you can select the right principle to test your compound. So normal technique like HPLC and GC is very commonly used. So it's better for you to master these two method. And of course, you need to have a sample preparation to get a very good result, right? So the future direction will be in the automation and the green chromatography. So you can consider about having all these research and approaches, all right? So that's all for my sharing. So if you guys have any question, you can ask me or you can contact to me if you have anything you want to know, right? Just for information, I accept students for internship and also final year project where the student join, you can have a meeting with me, what are the project you want to work with. So usually the student will do their proposal in their country, like in Indonesia. After that, they do the analysis in my lab. They come to UCSI and run the HPLC, GC, do all the analysis here. So you can choose whether you want to write your thesis in Malaysia, and you can go for a vacation of writing your thesis because the student visa usually is 6 months. So maybe 6 months, the 3 months or 4 months, you do your final year project, and the last 2 months you can write your thesis, and then you can travel around different Johor or Genting or different part in Malaysia. Or you can also choose to go back to your country to write your thesis, all right? So currently I have a few students from Jakarta working under me to do the fermentation project, yeah. And I also graduated a few Indonesian students, and they're already working in Jakarta. So they also work with the drying of the seafood. So after that they go back to Jakarta to work in the industry. All right. So if you want, you can contact me if you want to ask for a vacancy for internship or anything. All right. Okay. Any questions? You guys want to ask? You can just share with me or open up your mic.
Okay, silakan adik-adik. Is there any question? Okay, first, Konfelika.